it's Teresa here from South East London. Today it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful morning. I've received this and it's the first one I've had through the post, so it's quite a celebration for me. I started to undo it. Now I know it's a challenge because I've taken someone's address out here, but it did say challenge in brackets, so I'm intrigued. I started to undo that and I thought, no, I'll do what everybody else does and I'll do it on the screen. Now I am totally intrigued. I'm so excited. I'm using my big scissors and I'm going to take it out here, get rid of the bag. Whoa, I can see it's from Debs. Now I just want to see if I can read this out online. Yeah, I can read that out, which I'll do in a minute. Oh no, I don't know how to do this. It's so exciting. Shall I do it first? Oh, it's like Christmas morning. Right. Oh, it's quite local as well. It's from Maidstone in Kent. That's the county town in Kent. Dear Teresa, I'll read this slowly just in case there's anything in here that I might take out. Deb, you haven't put your address here, your full address. Oh yeah, it was on the back, wasn't it? Oops. Dear Teresa, this might be a challenge. I found this and thought of you. I hope you like it and let your imagination and creativity finish it. And there's a smiley face. I love your videos, and although I find it hard to sew now, watching you create helps me with my depression. With best wishes to you and love from your friend, brackets, unmet friend, Debs. Kiss, kiss, kiss. That is so beautiful. Thank you very, very much. I'm sure it will be a wonderful challenge. And you don't say why you find it hard to sew now. And this watching helps you with your depression. Debs, between us, no one else is listening. I was a teacher in mental health, employed as a teacher, and I taught students who had mental health issues from the whole range of mental health: schizophrenia, manic depression, as it was then manic depression, now bipolar disorder, depression, self-harm, abuse, substance abuse, everything that affects the mental health. Now I was employed as an art, textile craft teacher, and spent many years teaching people with severe depression. Now my advice to anyone who is suffering with mental health issues is to try your craft. Don't give up. Try your craft. Now you know I have a saying, you cannot go wrong. You can't go wrong unless you're studying for an examination. Well, we're not into examinations. We are into having a good time, having fun, maybe learning a little bit along the way, but expressing ourselves through our craft. Now, our art is textile art, but you might want to watch this and do woodwork. You might want to do some metal work. You might want to do something completely different from textile. It doesn't matter. An art is an art. A craft is a craft. It's a way of seeing and being inspired. So it doesn't matter if you don't want to pick your textile art up, if you want to sit and paint but still be involved in the group. That is fine. We don't have any rules here. If we do, they're rules we've made ourselves. Now with regards to the depression, Deb, I've seen people clinically depressed so bad they can't pick a needle up, they can't pick a ball of wool up. But hey, that's okay because that passes. At the time it's awful. Anyone with depression will tell you it is awful. It's an empty feeling. You're in a box looking out, no one can touch you. And it's a dreadful feeling, especially for people, I think, like us, who are tactile. By the very nature of watching this, it's tactile. You're a tactile person. So normally you like being touched, you like touching. You probably have quite a bright personality too, which often goes along with depression. But do try, just try for 5 minutes. Set yourself a challenge. You set me one. I'm going to set you one now. Pick up a needle, piece of thread, and just put the needle in your fabric and make 4 stitches. Any old stitch, any old mark. Just 4. And if it takes you all day, that's okay. That's okay. We've got 24 hours in a day. So do have a go, Debs. Please contact me if you need a little bit of advice on how to start your project, and that goes for anybody. My email is on the bottom of my videos, and I will specifically pop it on the bottom of this one. But Debs, you're not alone. You are not alone, especially at this time coming out of lockdown and now with all these financial problems. But they pass. Everything will pass. That's a famous thing. This too will pass. So Deb, hang on in there. Anybody who feels exactly the same, hang on in there. There is a light at the end of your tunnel. Okay? Even if you don't feel it, there is. Now on that note, let's undo this. And I'm feeling so emotional but excited. Right, now when I get a present, I'm no good at undoing it quite slowly. So here, oh, with love. Thank you, Debs. I'm going to use that. We'll take that off. And some beautiful red ribbon, there. And what? Oh, I can see. Oh wow! No, I wasn't expecting this. Right, you might see this better. This is beautiful. Right, so from the back you can see clearly that there are areas here unstitched. You see these? They're unsewn. Right, there's a couple of holes. There's a hole there. And there's one here. Debs, where did you get this from? This looks vintage. Now I'm wondering if you've inherited this, or if you have started it and you decided not to finish it. But this is beautiful. All this, it's canvas. It's double tram canvas here, and it's sewn in wool. You can see the wool here. That's a tapestry wool. It's sewn in that, and this is tent stitch. It's all sewn in tent stitch and that is tent stitch is half cross stitch. Right, I'll make this bigger. Oh, that's better. I'll turn it on its side. Oh, Deb, this is beautiful. Now I'm guessing you said it's a challenge, so I'm guessing that I'm not to just complete these as they are, okay, but to be inspired by this beautiful design. Have I ever said about my thing I have for poppies? I must have done. That is quite a big hole there, so to sew across that, oh look, and I'm making it bigger now, you can see that there, so that would be hard to sew across anyway without patching it. There was another hole somewhere, wasn't there? And there as well. Right, first thought, top of my head is applique round here. Now this texture is quite flat, so it's just one texture at the moment. We need to add some texture to this, so I'm going to make this textured. Right, so the challenge is to keep it as it is, isn't it? Not to remove anything, because I'd really like to remove that, because I think If it's a challenge, I might completely change the colours of these poppies. Well, I'm going to spend some time thinking of that, Deb, but what I will do, yeah, what I will do is this in applique, I think. Whoa! That is a challenge and a half. Thank you very much for that, Deb, and I will accept your challenge, and I've given you a challenge back. 4 stitches, okay, on any piece of fabric, that size, your bed sheet, your tea towel, anything, 4 stitches. Okay then, Deb, thank you very much. I'm going to take this off. What I will do is hang it on my wall for a couple of days, I reckon, so I can get a feel for it. But top of my head, applique. Oh, this is quite exciting. Thank you very, very much. I'm very excited about this. And yeah, next time you see me, I'll know what I'm doing. She laughed. The first thing we need to do is to stretch the canvas so it holds its shape when we're sewing it. Now you may be wondering what this is. I'm going to stretch it on this. This is actually a small coffee table, and if I move it this way you can see the legs here and there, but I use this, mostly this smaller one, to stretch my embroidery pieces when I need to give them a little bit more life or get the shape back into them. Now nobody knows I do this, so it's a secret, and sometimes I have to smile when I have visitors and they're using this table, and I think, oh my goodness, if only they knew what was underneath. But you can see around here where I've had to repair it, where I've sort of abused it a little bit with a hammer, so it's not perfect anymore, although the front is, the front's okay. Now, having said all that, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger now, so you can really see what's going on the table. Right, there we go. Move this down slightly. I've had to move the camera and the microphone so that you'll be able to see the table on the table. Right, so look at that. That's a perfect fit. It goes in lovely. Just move that up a little bit, or make it smaller, then you'll get the whole lot there. I think I've gone back to the original size, haven't I? Right, so that fits in there beautifully, and we just need to pull it into shape, pull the canvas into shape. So the way we do this, you want some absorbent paper, and it could be anything. It could be book pages, newspaper, anything that's going to hold and absorb water. So all I've got here is some old packing paper that I keep in my paper drawer, or cupboard I should say. There. Very precious stuff. And this, and those of you in the UK will recognise this, it's just a prescription bag, but it's absorbent. And just in case, if you're using newspaper or something like this with colour on it, although this won't run, it doesn't come off, some print does. So if you do, and it has a plain back, just pop the print inside. But then we're going to cover it just to make sure there be no seepage from any colour on our paper. We're going to cover it with just a plain sheet of writing paper. This is just ordinary printing paper. Only need 1 sheet. And then we're going to wet this. Want all the paper wet. And make sure that goes all the way through. Right, all that paper there is drenched. That is soaking wet. Now, the only problem is, I wouldn't advise you do this method if you're working with yarns, fabrics, fibres, that are not fast. So if you think they're likely to bleed, or the colour's going to run, which some of the cheaper, I have to say, some of the cheaper yarns and fabrics and that do actually run, and there's often a warning on the label, wash these separately. So just be very, very careful. But as I say, I don't advise doing that. Now I'm stretching this out on the water, on the wet paper I should say. Right, bringing it into line all the way round. Now that looks fairly straight, but we haven't finished yet. What we're going to do now, for my hands on my apron, is put some pins. Now I find that the little thumbtacks are easier than these, but I can't find them, so these I have to do. And just push these in. Now these are shorter than the depth of the table, so they won't come through to the front. Now I'm going to choose one side, and it happens to be this one. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger now. Right, so I've now straightened this up. I know that is straight. You don't have to measure it. You can just use your own judgment, your own eyes. There you go. And pop some pins all the way along there. And it's always nice to start this with a long line, with a long edge I should say, because there's going to be a lot of pulling in a minute, and because you've used a long edge, you've used more pins to secure it to the back than you would if you use a short edge. Right, now we're going to do an edge down here, one of these short edges now. So I'm going to pull this, pull it nice and tight. That is really taut there now, and it's straight, and you can tell it's straight by the stitches. The stitches there, the tent stitches, are all in line and they're nice and straight. And then pin there, and we'll use another pin there. And I'm using the selvage edge, the part of the canvas that hasn't actually been sewn on. But if you haven't got a selvage like this, that's okay. Just be very careful about where you place your pins in your fabric, because this is done after you complete your work. But this canvas has just a little bit pulled out of straight. It's been pulled until it's wonky, I should say. No, that was a tough old pin. And these pins are going nicely through all the paper. Oh, that's coming out. Right, not to worry, I do have, you can, right, now that is how I loosen the tabletop from the legs and needed to do this emergency work around the edge. But nobody knows it's there, only me. Well, and you now. So just going to pop that down there, and then I'm going to pull it the other two sides. See, it seems to be tougher or thicker in some areas than in the other. That's interesting. Right, now this is the last side, and I'm going to pull this, just hold the corresponding pin opposite. So I'm going to put my finger on that one there while I pull it tightly across this way. Now let's see if it goes through. No, see, that won't. Oh, that really won't budge. I'm going to do the same there. I'm going to just hold that while I pull it now. Oops. Right, that looks good. That's how I want it to dry now, straight. I'll make that smaller. Lovely. So there we go. Now you don't have to do this on your coffee table, especially if it's antique. You could do it on any piece of wood that you have, or a thick piece of cardboard. Something fairly thick that is going to take the width of these pins or your thumbtacks and secure it down. So if you're using cardboard, make sure it's a fairly thick cardboard. Right, now that is done. Now what I do need to do is just wet the front, but I don't want to soak the front. There's no need to soak the front because it's going to stretch anyway because the back's wet. So that is that bit. As soon as that dries, we can then start looking at the design. Okay, I'm still not sure whether I'm going to change the colour, but while this is drying, I'll have a good think. But I've got company coming in about an hour, and all I should do now is turn this the right way, put 2 coasters on it, and I'll be ready to entertain, and nobody will know that's underneath. How clever is that, eh? It's thoroughly dry, bone dry. I'm now going to remove the pins, and you'll see, oh goodness, that's a tough one. You'll see how nice and flat it's dried. So the pins are all out now. I don't think I've left any in there. I'm just going to lift that out. Lovely. And the paper, bone dry. I won't throw that yet because I think I might be able to use that again. Now I'm just going to take the table off the table. Oh, put that there. I'll alter the camera. There we are. Lovely. Put it sideways, and this has now been pulled into shape. Lovely and flat, no bumps in it at all. The wefts are in line, there's no pulling out of shape, so that is lovely now. Very, very pleased with that. So what I'm going to do now, while it's in front of me, now there are 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to make a pattern of the placement and the size of the poppies. I would masking tape it to the window so the light shines through the back, and then I would pin this to the front, and then the light will be shining through them both, and I could very, very clearly be able to see the design. But because this is very fine, it's the finest paper I think I've ever seen, apart from tissue paper, I'm going to do it here in front of me. I've also got a light box that I picked up from charity shop. And, oh my goodness, it's only a couple of pounds. I was desperate for it, but because I use the window for the natural light coming in when I do this, I haven't used it yet, and yet I thought I'd be using it non-stop. Oh, it's coming out nicely on the screen too. I think if I make that bigger, you might even be able to see it more clearly. Yes, there we are. I'll do that so it fits the screen. And I'm just literally going to outline it with a fine pen. I don't want a pen that's going to bleed into the paper and then mark the fabric. Now if you feel happier pinning it, something I do actually today, just pop a couple of pins in to hold it in place. Oh my goodness, 2 pins, look how bent that is. Oh, it's a story of my life. Right, there we go. So that's all I need. And now I'm very, very carefully going to draw around this. Now it doesn't need to be exact, Right, and that's done. I took the pins out already because the pressure of my hand on it was tearing the paper slightly. So that's the first one, and that's quite a naturalistic version of this actually. It's quite, it's very much like it. Okay, but I really don't want to copy it. I just want to be inspired by it. So there we are, that's that one, and I'm going to put that on the side. Now the other way of doing this is to reduce this to its geometric shape, which is a circle. Now I actually prefer this way because I don't want an exact representation of this. Otherwise I might just as well finish this off and do that. I just want to be guided by it, motivated and inspired. So I might possibly reduce this to its geometric shape. I need the size though. I need the size so that it fits in that space. Right, where's the other one? Oh, this one's a bit darker. So it's that size, and there's one there. So there we are. These are now reduced to their geometric shapes, and I think this is the one that I will use. Now, while I've been doing this, while I was doing the first one, because it took just a tiny bit longer, what springs to mind is Andy Warhol. Now, can you remember sometime last year, might have been during lockdown, we did the Andy Warhol cushion, and this grew out of inspiration that I got at the Andy Warhol exhibition in, I don't know if it was the Royal Academy now or one of the Tates, I can't remember, but anyway I was there, and a fabulous exhibition. Didn't think I was going to like it, but I did. Absolutely loved it. So anyway, this is based on his poppies, and I'm just going to flash up the picture. How's that for magic? So as you can see, I've been inspired by it. Characteristics, the 4 poppies. And while I was looking at this and drawing around it, tracing around it, I thought, oh, this is familiar. It reminds me of Andy Warhol. So this is one interpretation of the poppies. It's a very small cushion. So I might revisit Andy Warhol. Well, I have, because I'm looking at the inspiration here and the poppies on the screen. I might spend a little bit of time just thinking about the poppies on the postcard. I don't want to replicate this. It's been done. This is first lot of inspiration, so it's been done. I'm not going to revisit that at all. I don't think I'm going to revisit it, but who knows, but I will spend just a little bit of time now thinking about this, how to work it, and I might even sort some fabric out, so when I get back, which for you will be now, I might have something positive to show you. Okay, I thought I needed just a little bit of inspiration as to what colours to use. So what I did, I looked at a nursery brochure. We've done this before. It's a brochure that comes through the door, my door here, from a local nursery, and it comes through every couple of months, and there's always beautiful photography in there, and I like these. Now what I like about these is that here we have areas of dark and light. The same here, light, dark. I just think they're a gorgeous flower, but I like the placement as well actually. But not only that, I love the way that this is ringed with a different colour. So we've got 2 colours going on here in the same flower. The same here and here, well, all of them actually. So I thought, yeah, I like these. Did I have any on the other side? No. I actually like the colours as well. I like all the colours, but I thought these were nice. I like these colours. So these are the colours that I'm looking for, and the sort of overlay, one colour on top of another colour, giving it a look that there's an outline going around the edge. So this is my inspiration, so I'm going to pop that to one side. So I did look through some fabric, and I thought I won't do that on screen because I don't want this to be too long, this video. So I came up with these. Now I shall make the screen a little bit bigger. Lovely. And I cut some shapes out. I'm not sure how I'm going to place them at the moment, but these are actually from, once again, as you'd expect, from my scraps from my rag bag. I've actually cut out the flowers from a piece of scrap fabric, and I thought, whoa, look, these have got the areas of dark and light already. So I placed them down, and I thought, no, I can't place them like that. It's still too much canvas being exposed. And then I thought, well, actually the canvas does need strengthening anyway because of the holes. So went back to the rag bag, and I found this. Now all the pieces that you're looking at that I'm showing you now, I've backed them all with lightweight interfacing. So anyway, I've backed several of these. I thought I could start with that. So I block out the red because the red is so strong that it's impacting on anything that I put down, any of these that I'm placing down on top of the red. The red is just still influencing those colours. So I thought if I can blot the red out somehow like that, and then start from there, but maybe have a ring of this beautiful fabric just showing around the edge. So then I've cut out these, and I'm only playing around now because I'm not 100% certain of what I'm doing. Somehow like that maybe. And then I have these as well. Now these are a lighter version of this. So I think I'll just spend a little bit of time placing these. I don't have to use them all. This is just an idea at the moment. Have I got any more of those? No. And then I've got these. That's awfully big, isn't it? I'm not sure I like that. That big splodgy one. Might make those smaller. Because don't forget, we can exaggerate or eliminate as we wish to. As we wish, I should say. Ah, now that is taking some sort of shape. But I also have a couple of these. No, £2. So that is basically the idea, the sort of look I want. I still think that is very big. I wonder if I move them around. And that needs to be covered up as well with, not this, it's, oh, hang on a minute, it's just an idea. And then I have some leaves that need to be placed over these. I have two areas of exposed canvas here. One there, which I need leaves. Once again, I've taken these from a piece of scrap, so I've only got a couple of these leaves. But then I only need a couple to place them a little bit like that. Oh, I don't know, it's going to look very busy, isn't it? If I'm not careful, it could look really busy. I'm going to make that smaller and it might it might look less busy. I think the best thing I can do now is just play around with these, and once I'm happy that I've got the design that I want and it feels right, I shall possibly tack them down before coming back. Okay, I've made quite a good start with this. I'm just going to run through what I have done. I trimmed all these circles. I thought they were too big, so I trimmed the edges all round them, and I took those pink ones away. The pink didn't add anything at all, so I eliminated them. Then I cut out pieces, and this is all I have left now, pieces of the pink tulle here, and I picked out some petals around each flower and just put this down just for a little bit of dimension. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger, so cover your eyes and that's it, you get a better picture now. Right, so you might be able to see the net now. Here we go. So I've covered the petals with net. I've covered half of the leaves with a little bit of black, and that's all I have left of the black, and that is from some lace. Just covered some of the leaves with a little bit of black, so that just gives the leaves a bit more depth as well. And then I have covered it all with the net. If you can see the net here, the tulle here. Okay, so that just sort of blends it all in, gives it a nice finish, and not only that, it also holds it in place as well. So now I've got a really nice surface to start sewing on, to start edging, and I'm going to do that with blanket stitch. Now we have done the blanket stitch before. I'm going to edge it with blanket stitch, she says now, thinking about it. No, I will do. No, I've made a decision and I'm going to stick to that decision. But I don't want to lose this effect here, the middle here in a nice deep pink, which I've tried to do here, and the edge, the paler edge here with the white behind. So I don't really want to lose that effect, but if I do, then I do. So and we'll see what happens anyway. Now blanket stitch, we have done this lots and lots of times. I'm going to refer back to our that's lucky. No, not this one. This one is the blanket stitch, but for some reason I have just done it as a pinwheel circle, so I don't think there's any more in here. No, that is a circle again, so it isn't that one. So I'm just going to have a look in this one. There. Right, so there's the blanket stitch for anyone who isn't too sure. That is a very nice blanket stitch, and it edges. It mostly edges things, but it also looks really lovely inside your work. It doesn't have to edge. So that is what I'm going to be doing around the edge of my flowers here. Now I'm not sure if I'm just going to do the edges around there, or I'm going to pick out the flowers. That it's just going to take its own way as when I start, so I can't really tell you how I'm going to do it at the moment, but I will show you how to do blanket stitch, just as a refresher for some of you, but or as a learning exercise for others. So once again, everything's exaggerated. Big needle with a wool, and I'm only using this Ada because it happens to be here. So we're coming in from the back, put a knot in the back, and with this thumb, or it could be your other thumb if you're left-handed, so with that thumb just hold it down. Then you decide how long you want your stitch. You might want it that long, or you just might want a teeny tiny one, but for the sake of the camera I'm going to have it about that size. So hold it down there and decide how wide you want it. I'll have it there, and then you're going to bring it out parallel to how long you want your stitch, okay, and just put it, and there's your first one. Now this one will be picked up because it's edging. I think it's assumed that you meet yourself, you carry on all the way around the edge until you catch up with yourself, so that will be dealt with on the way back when you finish there. But if you don't use it that way, then you could just, if you have a really big stitch, then you could just put a tiny little stitch over there, so don't worry about that. So then now you have made your first stitch, you're going to do the same. So if you want it the same size, same length as that one, you're going to hold your thread again, going to come up here, and if you want it the same width, come over there, across there, like that, and there is your second stitch. And that's all there is to blanket stitch. Of course you can vary it in your work. You can have long against short, which is one of our design elements. So this one you could have maybe longer, depending on what you want. You could have it long, a lot longer down there, just for variety, and this is how I like to do it, to mix it all up just a little bit. But that is entirely a personal thing, it's entirely up to you, okay? And you can get some really nice shapes by doing this. And that is just blanket stitch. So I'm going to carry on. Oh, look at that, can't stop now. There you go. Now I'm going to carry on and do this, as I said, around the edge, and it's just going to lead me, so I have no idea even where to start. Oh, I should make a decision. I'll possibly start around here. Yeah, and I'm not even sure what colour I'm going to use yet. I don't know whether I should use black or if that might be too sudden. I might use a purple or a deep pink. But anyway, as soon as I've made a start, a substantial start, I'll get back and show you how it's looking. Here's a little update just to show you what I've been doing. I'm just coming to the end of one of these petals, and I'm running out of thread here, so I should just stop a minute because I need to reload the needle anyway. So this is the first one I've done, with the white around the edge, and then we have the darker pink around the dark areas here, where the dark pink tulle went down. And here we have a light pink. That's actually pink, but it looks white on the screen. It isn't finished yet. I just need to get them all to this stage, and then I can sit back and decide what I'm going to do in here. I have a rough idea at the moment. I might just do some slow stitch in there, some running stitch. I might actually introduce a new stitch, one we haven't used before, in some of the petals as well. So that one is now finished as far as this stage goes. So I'm just now going to continue, I should say, on this one. So next time you see this, hopefully they'll all be done and they'll all be looking a little bit like this, and it'll be time then to think about filling in these, the dark purple, and while I'm doing this I will think, but at this moment I think it's probably going to be running stitch, the slow stitch. Okay, so I'll carry on with that, and as soon as I got these three, oh, and the leaves, I think I'll do the leaves as well, I'll get back, and hopefully I've made my mind up then about how to fill in the petals. I'm just finishing off a little section here, but once again I'm running out of thread, so I will finish this little bit here and just show you how far I've got. I actually had a change of heart while I was doing it. This isn't how I imagined it to be at all. Oh look, I've made a mess of that. I'll have to finish that off in a minute. So what have I done? I've used just the one stitch, the blanket stitch throughout. I haven't actually started the slow stitch yet, but I sort of got carried away. I love this one. It isn't finished, but if I hold that up you can see the blanket stitch here. The blanket stitch here in the dark purple just fits, is sewn so it fits into the shapes exactly all around there. The blanket stitch on this one goes around the edge, it covers the white of the edge, and then it covers the purple, and I haven't finished doing this yet. And this one, I think this might be the biggest one of all. It's got blanket stitch, it's white around the edge, and then each petal has been picked out in blanket stitch, the light pink petals in light pink, and the darker petals here in a dark pink. And that's the bit I'm just doing at the moment. Just going to do the purple underneath the net in the blanket stitch, so it looks like this one. And this one as well, it's blanket stitch around the edge, around the purple, and then picking out the petals either in light pink or dark pink. So this one is finished. That's the only one that's finished. That's almost finished. So that is how far I am at the moment. But what I will do before the next time, I will complete the leaves as well. Now I'm not too sure whether I'm going to do the leaves in blanket stitch as well. See how far I can go with just the one stitch. I might do it, but I'm eager to introduce a new stitch. I don't want to name it yet in case I don't introduce it, but that is as far as I am with this. I'm going to turn it on the side. Yeah, that gives you a better, I think that gives you a better look at them all. So I'm going to crack on, and this won't take very long to do now, and then I can start thinking about filling in the petals and the leaves, filling in the leaves. And then I will look at the background shape, see what we can do there. Okay, and that is just a fabulous stitch to do. So back to the work here. This leaf was quite wide, so I've done the raised chain band there, and then at the side of the leaf, sorry, at the side where the transverse almost like wefts finish, so that was the shape of the leaf with all the transverse stitches going across. So I started here, worked up with my raised chain band, and then I went to the edges. So after I did that, which is that, I then went to the edges and did the same stitch on the edges, there and there. So I ended up with three rows of the raised chain. Okay, so if you look back here, we've got 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. And then, like the weaving project that we did last time, I just pulled them where I wanted them. You see, just moved them over. So I moved one towards that end, I moved another one towards this end and kept one in the middle. So there we go. We have one at that end, one at that end, and one in the middle. Did the same there, here, and it creates some really nice shapes underneath. So that was 3 rows again. Here I did the 3 rows, but there wasn't enough space really to do 3, so I've ended up practically closing that up. So that is just closed up with raised chain there. This one as well, you can see that. You'll be able to, should be able to see. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Is that bigger? No, I don't think it is. You can see the transverse stitches there. Now you can only see the transverse stitches one side there, because I've pushed the raised band towards the end, towards the other row of raised chain. So I still have 3 bands of raised chain, 1, 2, 3, but there wasn't enough room on the transverse threads to have the gap, that beautiful ladder either side. Now this one is a different stitch. It's Roman stitch, not Romanian. Romanian is something else, but this is Roman stitch. Now I'm not going to go into details of this one. It isn't worked on a ladder like the others. It's worked another way, but because I'm not going to use that again, and I don't think that worked well, but I won't take it out. I might disguise it in some way. I'm not going to show you how to do that, because to me I wasted my time doing that, but I won't take it out. It's there now, so I need to either disguise it, make it different, or I could even do a row of chain stitch along there to mimic the raised chain band. So anyway, that is where we are at the moment. Now I'm thinking about how to work these. Now there are some leaf shapes here that are more prominent on the screen than in front of me. So there's a beautiful leaf shape there. There's another one there. And I can see here that piece of canvas there needs to be, look, can you see the canvas showing through there? So there are at least, let's say 1, 2, oh, I can't even see the other one there, 3 stitches, 3 leaves there. Now I could work those like I've just shown you, like this, or I could change and do something completely different, even cover them up, because after all, this challenge, this is just the inspiration, and it's not to be followed. It's not to be followed exactly. We don't want a replica of what's underneath, because that is someone else's design, and we want our own design, our own stamp on it. So I think at the moment I've moved further, quite a long way from the poppies. But having said that, I was thinking last night I might put a little bit of red somewhere, just as a bit of a nod to what is underneath the poppies. If you look at the back, you can still see the poppy shape there. You can still see it there. So that's quite interesting. And obviously that needs tidying up at the moment. But I thought that was interesting. The poppies there are still poking through. So I might just have a little nod to them, just somewhere. A little bit of red. This isn't an easy challenge actually. It's quite, it really is challenging, this one. Well, so far they all have in different ways. But this is challenging because I'm trying desperately hard not to let the original design impact too much on what I'm doing here. But it is hard, so I'm still focusing on these at the moment, the natural form. So it's looking a bit different again. It's now lengthwise along here because I can't get it in if I swing it round. So what I'll do, I'll run through what I've done here, and I think I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see some of the detail here. Right, let's have a look here. So I've added some more leaves here. Oh, I might as well turn that round actually, seeing as it's so big. I have done the raised chain band here and here, and down here. I've done it there, and that piece of Romanian or Roman stitch that I did, I've actually put the chain from the raised chain band on the top because I really didn't like that at all. So now that is looking like raised chain band, although it's on top of Romanian or Roman, I can't remember which one I did. It's now on the top of that particular stitch. So I think the rest that you have seen, the other stitches you've seen with the raised chain band, but what you haven't seen, and I will make this a little bit smaller, see if I can get most of it in. I've added another row around here of red. Now the red is on top of the brown. I'm not sure if you saw the brown before. It seems ages that I've been working on this and I can't remember where I finished. If you didn't see the brown the last time you looked at this, there is a row of brown around each of these. But I wanted to make a little nod to the red of the poppies, so I've outlined these in red all the way round the 4 poppies, although that was a bud, but it's looking more like a poppy. So those are the poppies, and I think that they are finished now. The outlines are finished. It's very tempting to keep going on, and all this is, it's all blanket stitch. All that's blanket stitch. But I have now started to think about the inside of the poppies. Now I've made a little start here and here, as you can see on the screen, with slow stitch or running stitch, you can call it what you like. I'm not sure if it could take any more than 1 row, but I think what it's missing at the moment is a little bit of shine. I think at some point I'm going to go through my sequins here, my loose sequins, and maybe, just maybe, put a sequin or 2 in the flowers. I might have to trim some of these just to add, oh no, not that, just to add a little bit of shine, a little bit of bling that I do like putting in my work. Or I could scatter them. Oh, well, that might be something, or not. But anyway, I'm going to play around. Maybe, lots of maybes going on as usual, because I can't really say what it's going to look like or what I'm going to do next. All I know is that I'm going to now look at the petals, all these. I might do a few more in the running stitch or slow stitch and see how it looks. Maybe change the colour now from red. These are red. On the lighter petals here it's red, so perhaps I need to put another colour around these darker ones, or maybe I even need to introduce another colour, something completely different. It's all green and pink, it's complementary, green and pink, green and red, a little bit of brown. So yeah, I'm going to think about that. So I've got to think about what did I say, the petals now, but at the same time I'm going to think about where to put or how to treat. This is upside down, that's the top, so this is the bottom. Now I'm going to think about what to do here. Do I want to fill that with leaves, or do I want some stems, some thin long poppy stems here? So there's quite a lot to think about at the moment. I might fill this in with some beads. That little area there, I might put some beads, and there's another little area there. Oh, and one there. So there's an awful lot of things I can do, but I think for the time being, because I've been looking down at this now for so long, I think I need just to spend a little time away from it. Not long, couple of minutes. Time it takes to have a coffee. I'll hang it up and then see what it, you know, it feels like doing. While I'm looking up there now, I can't for the life of me think of what comes next. Probably these. Anyway, I will get back to you, and I'll get back to you very, very shortly, and who knows, won't be finished. I might not even have started anything, but hopefully I will have an idea of where it's going. It's been a couple of days now since I've looked at this. I've been away doing lovely family things, hence this is why it's a bit creased, where it's been bungled up, if you like. But I have managed to do some more work on this. Now I should go through this very quickly and just highlight what I have done. I might make this a little bit bigger. You see I've got my list there reminding me of what I have done, but I'm just going to make that bigger. Lovely. Move the list so I can read it, and there we go. Right, so I've added some blue feather stitch here and here and here. Well, you can actually see where I've added the feather stitch. I'll move the camera slightly lower. There we go. So you can see I've gone over some of the blue. That gives this deeper blue, the feather stitch, a nice shadowed look. Some areas I have left, which is down here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but we'll work down to that in a minute. So that is the blue. I've outlined the flowers in green slow stitch or running stitch, depending on, as we said before, how you do your slow stitch, but it is basically running, well, it is running stitch. And I've just gone around here. I've actually gone around all the flowers. It's not that noticeable, but it still adds just something, I think. Still adds just a little bit of extra texture, and it brings this colour up here a little bit more. Oh, let me make that a bit smaller. I've added more raised chain band. This is just so totally addictive. I seem to be putting it everywhere these days. So all along here, the raised chain band. There's a wonky old stitch there, but that doesn't matter. I've also done, what have I done? I've worked backward blanket stitch. So where's my backward blanket stitch? And that is where I face them back to back. Now they should be, oh good grief, I can't see them, but they are here somewhere. So they can't be making that much of an impact, really, can they? If we can't see them. Back to back. Oh, I can't see them. Oh, there they are. That here, that spiky old stitch here. 2 rows of blanket stitch, but back to back. So the spikes are on the outside. And I believe I've used that somewhere else, but I'm not going to waste your time while I look through this for it. I've added beads, some small glass beads here. There's a solid area here. There's a broken area here that comes down here, another broken area, and I've added some sequins just along there. Let me hold that up, just along here, along there, just to give it a little bit of a lift at the top. So those are the additions. What else have I done? And last but not least, I've added the centres, the flowers, and these little flowers were cut from a piece of lace, put down, sewn down, just with ordinary long stitch, and little beads, a bead put in each centre, which isn't really showing too well on the screen. Yes, I nearly put French knots there, but I succumbed to the beads. I'm not sure what comes next. I think possibly this area down here. At the moment I'm very, very tempted to leave this area as a contrasting area. So we have the raised here, the very raised area there, against the flat area here. There's also a piece here, if you can see there's a piece of canvas showing through, which I haven't sewn over yet, so I'll have to do that. I'll have to fill that in some way, and then I'll just take it step by step along here. I think I might leave the blue anyway. I might do the green. Once again, there's an awful lot of mites going on now. I'm eager to get this finished. It will need stretching again, just as I did in the beginning of the video, but that's okay. And then I have an idea for it, but we'll see anyway. But meanwhile, I'm going to have a think about what I'll do here and start that, and then it really is on its way to being finished. It might even be finished. Well, Debs, I hope you like this, because it's actually finished now. I'm just going to run through what I've done, and I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, so we can look at everything in more detail. Right, there we go. Just move that down slightly. There we are. Right, we start at the top then. I've added some little groups of a couple of groups here of sequins there and there, and I managed to push them under the net here, and I've secured them, and it just adds a little bit of shine to the top. Also added sequins along here, and in some of the petals I've picked out just a couple of petals on each flower. Can you see that one there? You'll see the other one as I move down. I've added French knots as well, and feather stitch around here where you can actually see them. I think they're quite prominent here. Not sure if that was there before. Raised chain band. What else have I done? I think that might be all along there. Not quite sure. Underneath here I've added a little strip of gold fabric. If you can just see here underneath the weaving, the foundation wefts there, I've added some gold thread, and I've just pushed that through, and I've done that here as well, and you'll see it again at the bottom in another stitch. So that is the top. You can see there the brown feather stitch that I've added, and French knots here. I've put some weaving here on the foundation stitches of the raised chain band. And what else have I done? The petals, I've added white silk around here somewhere. I can't quite see it, but it's there somewhere, and it's all to make a nice texture. More sequins on the petals here. I think I already pointed to that one. So as you can see, I've only picked out certain petals. I just wanted a tiny bit of contrast there, but not too blingy. But I particularly like this area here. It's basically raised chain bands here, blanket stitch here with some cross stitches, raised chain band. This is 2 rows of blanket stitch back to back, raised chain band, back to back blanket stitch, and raised chain band again on that woven bit. We've been through that little bit before, we've mentioned that. So that is finished. Now, as you can see, or may not, I have some large holes here because this has been stretched, and it was stretched in exactly the same way as I stretched it some time ago, earlier on in the video. But these big holes here will be covered up, because although I finished this, and I hope, as I say, I hope you like it, Debs, I'm actually going to use this for something else. So you'll probably be seeing this particular piece of work again as the basis of something else. It was debatable whether I mounted it, made a picture of it, but I really like this. I really thank you for sending this in. Thank you very much, and I know that you don't want it back, so I thank you for that as well. What a lovely present. Now, a lot of these stitches, apart from the raised chain band, you'll find in these journals, and they're stitchery journals, and these for the new subscribers. These were done in 2020. One was done in 2020, and the other one was done in 2021, and they're both journals for slow stitch or stitches. They're stitchery journals, stitches, as you can see, stitches. They were done some time ago, and they have been used as teaching resources, so they're a bit tatty. So I'm about to work on one for this year, and includes some new stitches in it, and as you can see, they are actually journals. There was spaces for writing in each one, and I have to say these have gone down really well in face-to-face classes. So that is one. Now I can't tell you which one came first, but for any of you who want to have a look at these and maybe make your own, I do know that in my playlist there's one of these, and it's called a Stitches Refresher Journal for Slow Stitch Projects in 2021. And if I remember, I should stick it on the screen. Okay, so as I say, both journals, both a variety of stitches, and they have gone down particularly well in my actual classes. Look, you can see plenty of journaling there. So while we're talking about the journals, I'm just going to give you a refresher or show you how to do the French knots. And for those of you who aren't familiar with French knots, this is how they look. This, as I said, I can't remember which stitches journal came first. There are two different ways here of using them. This is actually, the inspiration for this was a tree bark. So we have how to do the stitch there, the tree bark, an example of the stitch, journaling here, and a finished example here of a flower using French knots. So that is the first one in that journal. Now in this one, I have a different way of using it. Okay, so this might be the later journal. I wish I could remember, but I really can't. I should have popped it on the front, shouldn't I, where it says stitches. So this is a heart with French knots, and the idea is to create texture. So the inspiration was from the flower. Okay, lots of journaling there, and the inspiration for this flower, which is a mixture of French knots, lovely, lazy daisy, which is basically chain stitch with a French knot in each center, and chain stitch in a row. Okay, and that is the inspiration for this. So there we are, different ways of using French knot by itself for the texture, and an exercise in colour based on the rose. If you can see the shapes here of the rose, then I've tried to not replicate them but be inspired by it here, and here that is the inspiration. There we go in the two stitches journals, and I'm just going to give you a refresher now on how to do it. Now there are actually several ways of doing a French knot, and as long as they look like a French knot, then that's fine. Now I should make the screen a little bit bigger, like that. Once again, everything's exaggerated so you can see it. So we have a nice darning needle, nice darning needle, and some thick woolen thread here. So with your thread, you're going to put a knot in the end, then bring your needle through from the back to the front, and then just hold your thread like that, and then let the needle do the work. So round, twist the needle or the yarn around your needle, and then go back in to the fabric, but don't go into the same hole, the hole that you came out of, otherwise you risk pulling the yarn right the way through. So we'll do that once more. There's the needle there. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go. So needle in from the back, hold your thread with the needle, twist round, in you go again, but not into the same hole, and then pull it through and release that yarn slowly and gently so it doesn't knot. And that is your French knot, and it's as easy as that. So don't think you can't do it. Some people, and I always say this whenever French knots are mentioned, some people are just really frightened of doing the French knots. And of course you can make it thicker the more times you wrap your needle around like this. We'll do 2, 3, back we go, and you end up with a bigger knot like that. But it's entirely up to you. I don't really think I'm going to get another one out of there. Twist and down. Oh look, I hope I haven't been off the screen the whole time. And there you go. French knots, no secret, dead simple. Okay, so back to this now. Okay, so I'd just like to thank you all for staying to the whole of this, if you're still with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. And perhaps you can sort out pieces of unfinished work. Maybe you have bits of embroidery, unfinished textiles that you could upcycle or recycle, or just as a progression of progress, you could change like I've done here, progression of an idea. So as I say, I do hope you'll try it with any outstanding pieces of work that you have. And thank you for staying with me, and I look forward to seeing you again. And I really look forward to your comments on this to see if it worked or if it didn't. But I'm looking at that now, and I think I think it worked really well. But as I did explain earlier, you will be seeing it again. And all you new people, thank you for subscribing, and I look forward to your comments as well. But do check out the stitches journals that I did last year and the year before, and there might be something in there that you like and you might want to make your own. Until the next video, take care, keep safe, and have a really good time whatever you're doing. Okay, so take care everybody.